Hi, thank you so much for tuning in to P2P Relates, where we talk about all things relationships. I'm Pat Renfro, and this week is week 12, basically. We are covering Can You See the Boogers? That's chapter 12. But we're going to be talking about paying attention to your partner's flaws. Another aspect of this conversation is actually looking at the acceptance piece as well. Because no one is perfect, we will, if we choose to partner with someone for the rest of our lives, end up with an imperfect human being. Someone who gets on your nerves, who takes up some space that you would probably prefer they not, who will not meet your expectations 100% of the time, whether it's intimately, intellectually, whatever Lee you want to bring up, there's going to be a failure to meet your every desire, expectation, need, or any of those things. And so that's not what we're talking about. But to be able to learn about your partner well enough to be able to see them as they are and then make a very intelligent decision about whether or not you can do that for the rest of your life is the conversation we're having today. So what I will start with is saying this to you. As a person that was married for 15 years, I can tell you this. Whatever you don't like about the partner you have right now, try to conceptually multiply that flaw by 5. And then take it another step and say, yeah, I think I'm in love. I think I just adore them so much. I don't like that, but we can endure. And that may be true, and that's important and necessary to have an acceptance for your partner. But you need to say, if that was multiplied by 5, and they never, ever stopped doing that, or they never, ever started doing that, could you deal with it? Would you be happy? That's really, if I don't say anything else in this video, that's the most important thought I can leave with you, is the importance of not just accepting your partner, but understanding what you're signing up for. Oh, I want to say this. We all have external impressions of people that we see in relationships. A brother-in-law, a sister-in-law, a cousin, an auntie, so forth and so on. And we have our established rapport and relationship with that person, right? But how they show up with us as a third party, don't live in the same household, haven't had any real life challenges to work through, see them one way. And then the person who lives with them all the time sees them in another way. Now, that doesn't mean they're not for real. It doesn't mean that they're not the nice person that you adore. But when we're in an intimate relationship with another person, how we interact with each other is so very different than how that person or myself is going to interact with a casual relationship or a relationship that's a distant relationship. And let me tell you, once you say I do, whatever relationships outside that relationship, unless it's totally dysfunctional, unless it's trash, I like to use that term sometimes, it's going to be very different. The intimacy that you all will experience and share and work through, the challenges, the forgivenesses, all the things that come with that marital permanent situation are going to be so much deeper than any relationship you'll have with other people. So I said all that to say sometimes when we look in at another relationship or we look at another individual, we see them a certain kind of way, and we can't imagine how their partner might not see them that way or respond to them the way we do. Give you a quick case in point. I was a daddy's girl to the core. I love my mom too, but I was a daddy's girl. So if there was ever a conflict that they had, or a difference of opinion, or a little tiff they were going through for a period of time, my dad was probably right and justified in what he did. But again, I wasn't his wife. I was his little girl. And there's a difference. So I want to leave you with that too, because I want you to understand that what you see at the just real natural level in a relationship between two people is not what it necessarily is. And so, likewise, when you're dating someone, how they show up with you, you're going out to dinner, you're having walks in the park, you might have a few intellectual debates and conversations about politics or religion. That is nothing compared to what you will experience as husband and wife. So to look into the depth of that person to figure out, could I deal with this forever and ever, amen, is something that almost requires an awareness, a revelation, a skill set, which is what the book's been all about, all these chapters. And so I ended it with, can you see the boogers? Because our noses can be so wide open that we can't see their boogers, because maybe our nose is in the sight of our eyes. Let me stop. I couldn't resist. I had to be silly sometimes. So you want to look at that. It is very important to have realistic expectations, reasonable expectations, not your whims and your whimsical desires of your heart. If they love me, they'll do this for me and all that. But no, just what is it you need in a relationship? What is it you want your partner to provide for you, to avoid in the situation? Just what are your needs and what are your expectations? Because you're going to be with that person for the rest of your life, ideally. And the divorces that we experience today are because we haven't done that work. That's really more often than not, the work hasn't been done. So do your due diligence. Figure out who it is you have among you. Figure out what it is you need from that person and what it is you don't need. And then figure out, hey, is it forever possible with this situation? Because if you can't say yes with a reasonable amount of confidence, and if you haven't communicated to them, because Lord knows one of the biggest mistakes we can make is just assuming that our partner gets us. They know what we want. I've said it before. I've made it clear. Maybe you haven't, maybe you haven't. So communicating and checking in is going to be really critical. And it's going to help both of you figure out, is this really a good going forward permanent kind of commitment? So anyway, have a wonderful, wonderful week. And next week will be our final summary of my book, Marriage is Not for Punks, 12 Things to Think About Before You Say I Do. But I have a chapter 13, and that is, oh, so you went and did it anyway, huh? How to help married couples, mostly newlyweds, who didn't think this subject matter was necessary, that this work of exploring in depth whether or not this is the right person for me based on who they are, based on who I am, based on who their family is, what their habits are, They didn't think that was really important. They thought I was over the top with that, and they knew they loved each other, and that's all they needed. And now they're married. And the sad part about marriage is that it doesn't take 6 weeks even for you to figure out, oh my God, what did I sign up for? So I hope you'll come back next week to hear my talk on that. All right, if you have any other subjects you'd like me to start covering, this will be a good time to speak up, because we're going to be shifting in 2 weeks to just relationships in general. So check out the other 5 folders that I have on all the different aspects of relationships that we do. And I would love to hear your thoughts. So have a great week, and I'll see you later. Hit that subscribe button and tap the bell.